Well, good morning there. It's Friday morning. Sun's well up. We're starting quite a bit later than usual. And this might be a shorter session because it's Friday. So maybe we'll take a little break, a little deserved break. But I'm excited to get going today because the big goal for this morning's cast and this morning's development work is to build a little something for Screenshot Saturday. I haven't put anything in Screenshot Saturday for a couple weeks now. I always like to do that just for my own satisfaction. It's a good goal to have at the end of the week, and it's nice to show off. It's always nice to show off. But today, I think, I worked hard on it yesterday, I think I've got time travel working in the game. So what I want to do is actually build a little tool that will help make that a little bit easier to see. This is just purely for kind of showing off purposes and not necessarily gameplay purposes. So we're going to build a little cheater. In fact, I did kind of Blue Peter style knock one together earlier, but it's not quite finished yet. It does what it's supposed to do, but I want to make it a little bit quicker. So we're going to go through that whole process, at least the whole process I use for recording, not screenshots, but recording screen captured video. Hopefully all that sort of stuff will be working. I don't usually do it on this machine. Anyway, that's all preamble to saying that it's exciting that I think time travel's working. So let's give it a test and actually see if that is indeed the case, because it was working yesterday. But it's a new day, and you never know what I've broken in between. So, I'll get the scene playing here. And we've already kind of cheated in that we have a save file all ready to go, and the save file has our dummy objects from our dummy artifacts from the database. So this is going. So it has our dummy artifacts already loaded into the database, which give us kind of one artifact per major time period. So if we load that up, okay, so that's the indication that the game has loaded. Let's take a look and see what our time is. So it says our current date is 200. That's a good thing. It shouldn't be 2500, it should be 200. And if we jump into our inventory, jump into the artifact section, we see we've got the kind of 9 artifacts. So this one should be the Neolithic, and it is. I know there's nothing Neolithic about this, but it says travel to the Neolithic. So we're going to go 7,500 years before present. So if we hit that open portal button, we should see the time travel portal open, and look at that. That's what I was looking for. So the landscape that you can see around this rectangular portal is our kind of Roman period landscape, but if you look through it, you can see our kind of Neolithic period landscape with the ring around the ring ditch around where the round barrow should be, and the well for the little pond, the tarn. You can see that the road disappears. So you can see we've actually got a little portal now into the past. Also, the sky is bizarre right now. And that's because the sky is actually being rendered completely by its own camera. And what's happening is that the cameras that are rendering the landscape, there's 2 cameras now. So we've got 5 cameras in use right now. And the cameras that are sort of, the camera that's rendering this portal, it's not actually rendering the sky at all. So when it views the sky, it kind of just overwrites. There's no data there, basically. So it just kind of overwrites whatever, and it kind of smears the landscape, which is cool in one way. And on my other computer, there's all sorts of fun artifacts going on in this, which are errors, but I think I might keep. So like, here's one fun artifact. This little dot right here is actually the top of the Roman well shaft, and we can just see that its ambient occlusion is actually staying in the scene. But that's kind of fun. I kind of like that ghosted effect. Anyway, if I press the spacebar, look, we're now in the Neolithic landscape. If we press the spacebar again, we should jump back to the Roman landscape. So that is great. So the time travel does seem to be now functioning in the way that I want. So our last stream on Wednesday was rough, like rough. I saw that the kind of video recording of it had 9 views, which is 9 more than I expected. It was a rough stream for lots of reasons. But in that one, it really did help me try to figure out what was going wrong with my logic, or it helped me just try to figure out what the logic was to time travel and maybe what was going wrong. And now we found it. So we figured it out. There were a few problems. There was a little bit of code, a little bit of scene setup. But once I figured out all of that, hey, it's working. In theory, it should be working for objects and buildings as well, but I'm just not going to push that yet. So we're going to do the landscape. What I want to do is to be able to create a time travel animation for Screenshot Saturday. There's a few things that I want to be able to do. When I want to jump between times, but I don't want to have to open that portal every single time we do it, because the portal's on a 1.5 second delay, which is on purpose. That whole animation, which is on purpose, it's set that way to give the system enough time to load all the assets for the target time travel scene into memory. So I give a little delay there. This is the whole classic time waster in order to allow assets to load trick. This is why if you're playing any of the Tomb Raider reboot games, there's so many little tight crevices and things that Laura has to crawl through, and that's because while she's doing that, there's very little of the scene visible, and it means that they can load the scene that you're going into, they can load that into memory. And while we doubtless have to do a bunch of memory tricks like that, we actually, when we start, have all periods of the landscape at least already loaded into memory, so we don't need to have that wait in order to just do a kind of little show-off video of us jumping through several thousand years of this landscape's history. So I don't want to keep jumping into my inventory, selecting a time period, hitting the open portal button, waiting for the portal to open, then pressing the spacebar to jump into that time. Instead, I want to just jump through the times. So I made a cheater. I made a cheater to do all of that for me without actually opening all that sort of stuff up. So I have a little utilities game object here in the base scene, and one of the utility objects is the timeline system. Right now, all it's got is the time travel manager in it, but we're going to add another script, which is our time travel cheater. There it is. So this is our time travel cheater component. And if this bool is true, that will activate the system to kind of look for times to travel to. So that's really good. I have a handy cheat list here. That's what you can hear there at the microphone. It's my handy cheat list. And it tells me when all my periods are that I want to jump to. So all we need to do is create an array of dates. So let's create an array of dates. Let me see which ones. We've got a Mesolithic landscape, a Neolithic landscape, an Iron Age landscape, a Roman landscape, and the beginnings of a kind of a medievally landscape. So we've got 5 periods that we may wish to jump through. So let's enter the dates here in this list called travel dates. And so we've got 5 dates to travel to. Our Mesolithic period kind of goes from about minus 12,000. So let's give it a kind of 10,500 date just to be secure. And really, I shouldn't go on even hundreds because those end up being edge cases. But it's okay for this long period. The Neo seems to be about minus 5,000, so let's go minus 3,000. Iron Age, let's go minus 100. Roman period, let's go to positive 200. And the medieval period, let's jump all the way up to 1200, just for kicks. I don't believe I actually even have the medieval period built into the system, so later today off stream I'll probably load in whatever I've got of the medieval landscape and load that all up in our tile manager. So here's the tiles. And remember, on Monday we spent a lot of time doing really dull work there. So let's see what my most recent period is, for example. Is this one my most recent period? Yeah, it's just the Roman, so really we're stopping at the Roman. Okay. So let's go back to the time travel system. Okay, so the time travel cheater's on, and we're using that cheat. I've got another kind of cheat in here which helps make nice turntable animations. All this is just for showing off. It probably won't make it in the game, but maybe I'll forget to take it out, because there's no way when you're playing the game you can actually enter in your cheat dates before you actually play the game. You'll never have access to this part of the editor. So in one way it's moot. I mean, you can cheat it simply by going in and hacking the save file. It's not too hard to figure that one out. And great, if you want to cheat and travel the dates, more power to you. I would not wish to prevent you from doing that. You're not going to break the game. Well, the game's already broken, so haha. Okay, so let's go forward a little bit here. Let's see how this system actually is supposed to work. So first, let's make sure, this gets a little bit awkward on the keyboard, but without having to load the new game in, let's zoom out and see our entire landscape once the game loads up. Okay. So let's zoom way out and see our entire landscape. So there it is. Move down this way. Move that landscape up a little bit. Okay, so there's the landscape. Lovely, lovely. Great. Now, what if we want to do... What if we want to kind of orbit around this landscape, but without having to drag? So we want to create a nice smooth orbit animation. Well, fortunately, if I hold down the orbit key and then I hold down the period or the comma buttons, we should be able to just start rotating at a constant rate. So that's 2 keys. Right. So that's orbiting. That's great. If I press the left bracket key, aha, see? There we go. If I press the left bracket key again, there's the Iron Age. Press the left bracket key again. There's the Roman period. Left bracket key again. There's no period whatsoever. That's got to be our Mesolithic or our medieval. Left bracket key again. We're in the Neolithic. No, we're in the Meso. That's the Meso. Okay. So, we must run up to the Roman period. So now if we press the left bracket key, what are we going to run to? Where are we going? I don't know. We're going back to the Neolithic period. So we're heading through. The next one's going to be our Iron Age period. Ooh, it looks like I've killed it. Yeah, it doesn't like me. I wonder what I killed. Anyway, so I crashed it. We got through most of our periods. I wonder what I did to crash it, because now I've just hung it. Oh well. We can see that it's kind of working. And that's nice, but I want to prevent the portal from opening at least every time. I want to prevent that from opening because that just takes a long time to do. Instead, I want to just be able to jump between periods right away. Yeah, I've killed it. Great. Well, we've got to go in there and just kill the process. Part of the joy. No, it's not the console. It's the activity monitor, of course. All right. So, sorry we killed it. I'm not sure what I did to kill it. I wish I had some feedback on that. It'll be in my log, but let's not mess with that now. All right. Let's jump back into that. Anyway, I think we have enough going that we can actually do our screen recording for Screenshot Saturday. But what I want to do is I want to modify my cheater script so that we're not opening the portal. It would be cool to open it like once maybe, but I don't know if I want to kind of code that logic because that's going to start getting me into trouble, and frankly I'm not quite sure how that would work. Well, I am sure how that would work. Okay, so here's my time travel cheater code. It's really simple. So one good benefit of me relying on a messaging system a lot is that I can take the functions that are exposed kind of public functions, I can take those and I can call them from anywhere at any time, and not necessarily for functionality that I thought I needed when I built the script. So that's really lovely. So for example, here's my time travel cheater script. Instead of going through the inventory and making a database query and selecting an object and then hitting open portal, instead of doing all of that kind of stuff, instead I can just hit a key to launch the exact same, to do the exact same calls that I do in the time travel, actually in the inventory. So in the inventory, here's this open portal button pressed bit of code, and if we go back to our cheater, there it is, except we don't need to worry, we don't need to check if the game is paused, and the inventory is showing, so we don't need to fade out the inventory. So instead we can just set the time travel date, our target date, we can just set that from the list of time travel dates that we gave it. And so it's basically just running through a counter. So every time we press the left or the right bracket keys to go forward or backwards, we either increment or decrement. So the left one really ought to be backwards. So let me switch this. That's just me being silly. Actually, that's not that one. Oops. Sorry. Hold on. Anyway, we just run through our counter. It's pretty simple. So let's change that to right bracket. Yeah, that's the one right there. And let's change this one to left bracket. Okay, I just had to swap the key bindings. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, anytime we tap the right or the left bracket key, it either increments or decrements the counter. If the counter gets below 0, which is right here, it resets it to the time travel dates count -1, because again, this is a 0 index. So if we went to the count, if there were 5 items in the index and we went to count number 5, that would actually be looking for a 6th object, because 0 counts as an object, and that would be an out of range error. So we have to go back to the count -1. If we get beyond the count -1, so if we get up to, if we had 5 objects, we increment the counter to 5, that's greater than the actual 5 objects we have in there. It resets it back to 0. So we wrap around, basically. So that's all set. So the one thing I want to try to experiment with here is just this message here, which is the reveal portal message. We should, once we call setup time B, we should be able to time travel immediately once it gives us the message that time travel's ready. Like I said, because we don't have to wait to load objects, they're just simply being turned on or off. It should be very, very fast to switch between times. So I'm going to hit that one. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we've got going on here. So I'm just going to knock that one out. There may be a little bit of a logic problem, which was the pause there for a moment while I was thinking about it, which is that in order to jump time, we press the space bar. And that also toggles us between either end of the wormhole. But I think whatever time we're in is counted as the current time. When we load a new time, that gets counted as the time travel target. We should be able to press the space bar and just jump through everything. So that's all set. So I've just commented that line out. That's what I'm a little bit nervous about. So let's let it compile. I think it did. Did it compile? No, now it's compiling. You can see down in the corner here. Shouldn't be any errors. I just commented out one line. The next thing we have to do is we're going to set ourselves back to the Mesolithic period. So the first thing, we're going to start at the Mesolithic and move forward, because that seems to make some sort of narrative sense if we want to imply a narrative. So our current date is going to be negative 11,000. So I'm just setting that right here. I shouldn't worry about that getting reset because I'm not loading a save file. The save file loads our current date to be 200, which is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum for us. But I shouldn't have to worry about that. All right. Because I'm not going to be loading a save game. So there we go. So I had to set our current date. Now I need to set up the scene. So I need to turn off. So one thing that wasn't working from last time, and this was not a coding error, the code was doing exactly what I told it to, which it always does. But what I had done is I had just completely turned off periods of the landscape that I didn't need. And that's exactly what I should do, but I should not turn off their parent object. So for example, in the Meso period, the parent object of the landscape are these base soil squares and these topsoil squares. Their parent object is just a null. It's just to gather them together and keep them tidy in the hierarchy. But I need to have the null on because otherwise I can't turn any of these on. You can't turn on an individual game object if its parent object is turned off. So I have to keep the parent objects on but turn off the underside, the child objects I don't want showing. Right. So turn these on because this is where we want to start. Turn these on. But now I'm going to turn off everything else, but keep the parents on. So the Neo topsoil there off, the Neo dirt's off, great. This is kind of our major period landscape, and we don't need this right now. So we've got that one. That was the one we just turned off. Fill soil needs to go off. Okay, Iron Age topsoil is off. That's great. It's just the Roman fill and the Roman topsoil that need to go off now. Yep, there's the little tarn right there. The little Mesolithic tarn. There we go. We're back to the Mesolithic. Beautiful. So this is just the landscape. We're not going to have any of the trees or any of the objects in it. Just the landscape itself. Okay, so that's set up. We know what our current date is. And we know that pressing the right bracket key is the one that's going to jump us through time. So instead of doing an orbit, let's just see if we can do our jump through time without killing the whole project again. So the obligatory 15 seconds. There we go. We're all set. Okay. Zoom out a little bit to get a little bit better perspective here. So if I press the right bracket key, is that going to help us at all? Oh, now it says it's ready to travel. Okay, the right bracket key brought us to, where are we? What time period are we in? It says we're in 1152. Don't really need to be in 1152. What happens if we press the right bracket key again? We're not getting another date, so what am I doing wrong? Okay. So this is why we're doing what we do. Current date, negative 11,000. Current date 11:52. That is not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to tap my bracket keys here and change that time travel date, but that doesn't look to be working. So this is what I was wondering, if I needed to have that open portal script run, because the open portal script might do something else. All right, well, let's look and see what setup time B does. That call, the setup time B, jumps into the time travel manager. And all it does is set the time travel date, which we should have seen. And sets up the dates on the wormhole. And then it broadcasts the individual objects, checking to see if they're in the current or in the target time travel. And then it runs through it. And it's ready to time travel, and then we jump into the reveal portal, which should be in my portal logic here. Let's figure out where that is. Yep, it's right there in the portal behavior. Here we go. Yeah, that does nothing but open the portal, but it doesn't set anything in the time travel settings. Let's take a look here about when we actually jump time here. So if we press down the space key, and the time travel dates are right, so we should just toggle the active end of the wormhole. That's all we should do. This just sets up cameras and layers. That's all that's doing. So the thing that's doing the load is this build holes script. Holes with a W. And that's the one that actually sets up the layers of each individual object and turns them on and off based on whether they're in the current time period or in the past, in the target time period, or whether they're around it all. So, So if we turn back on that reveal portal, is that going to make everything magically better? Okay. Ah, that's why it's not doing anything. We lost our cheater. Thought I saved this before we crashed it. All right. In fact, we don't even need 5 periods right now because we've only got 4 set up. So negative 10,500, negative 3,000, negative 100, and 200. There we go. All right, might work a little bit better this time. Okay. Let's save it this time. Yep, okay, it's all saved. The asterisk is gone off the base scene. All right, let's give it a shot this time. I'm also going to get rid of the debug here because we know it's working now. All right, let's get a better perspective on things. Here we go. And if I press bracket key, yep, you're opening up and I can see that you're working fine. So we've moved forward to the Neolithic, press it again, move forward to the Iron Age. Yep. Press it again. Move forward to the Roman. Yep. Press it again. We should move back to the Mesolithic. Perfect. And the thing didn't die. Great. Now let's kill the portal. I have an idea about how to open the portal just once as a kind of a demonstration. It's all about showing off for Screenshot Saturday, but this is helping me kind of understand my time travel system a little better. You would think that this time travel system was about the simplest thing on Earth to figure out how to do, but I tell you, it's taken me forever to figure it out. It's easy to think, well, yeah, obviously this is the way it should work. It's easy to think that when you just see the way it's working, but I really didn't know how to handle the logic of it. Certainly didn't know how to handle the rendering of it on screen. Man, it took me a long time, I'm embarrassed to say. So if I hit that, boom, that, boom, that, boom, that. Perfect. Great. Okay, I'm going to put one little bit of... I'm going to open the portal. Here we go. So, let's make another counter. Private int, I'll call this the portal counter equals 0. So here we go. Little conditional. If portal counter equals 0, why are you not kicking over there? I don't know. Okay, so if the portal counter equals 0, we're going to run the portal once, and then we're going to increment the portal counter, which means it won't run again. So on our first time, we're going to see the portal open up, and that'll be fun. Okay. So let's test this. And then after that, we should be able to just run straight into the screen recording. I always get nervous with screen recording. Oh yeah, it's not going to compile till I jump back to Unity. Not quite sure what broke the connection, but that's okay. Okay, let's test this one out. Let it load up here. Okay, we're live. Great. Okay, go forward. Portal should open once. Yeah. Change. 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 Yes. There we go. We're set. So we need to jump into doing a screen recording of just this section of the screen. I wonder if the whole system's going to fall over because I'm screen recording, I'm screen capturing and streaming the screen, and now I'm going to record a portion of the screen. Let's see if this computer can handle it. It's kind of an old computer, but it's got plenty of memory to deal with all of this. Let's just see if the whole thing's going to fall over now. This will be fun. Okay, so what I've got as a screen recorder is a little open source screen recorder for the Mac. It's called CAP, K-A-P. It works lovely. I really like it. It allows you to export GIFs. It allows you to just export stills. It allows you to export just MP4s. So it's all great that way. I mean, there's dozens of things that will do this, including Mac's own screen capture, but this will allow you to see the cursor. It will allow you to note mouse clicks. It just seems a lot more kind of flexible than the standard screenshotter, even though the standard screenshotter on Mac OS in Catalina has gotten a lot better. I still like CAP. One problem is if you have a network drive mapped on your system, CAP runs something that it takes it like 30 seconds for the first time you run it for it to figure out. I don't know why it has to figure out if it's got a network drive attached, but it does. It's very strange. Anyway, that's just the way things are. Okay, let's get this whole thing situated. See, I told you I'm starting to talk a lot. I get so nervous about doing screen captures. I don't know why. Let's wait for it to load. You wouldn't believe it, but it used to take like a minute to load every time you went into the scene. And I figured out some ways to speed that loading up, thank goodness. But I did not figure out everything. Okay, what's the better way to view this? Zoom out just a little bit more. I'm not sure I can. I think I'm probably at my max. What's the better way to do this? That still seems a little not quite centered. Seems a little bit off kilter. Should we do it this way, where we kind of got a raking view of our landscape? We're not really seeing most of the features here. And I'm still not 100% satisfied with this framing. Let's do this way. There we go. Let's move it this way. Let's go up a little bit more. Jump it back down here. Brilliant. That's what we want. Okay, let's do the screen capturing. Okay, so I've got that all set up. All right, we are recording. So let's jump back in here. And let's start rotating. Press that button. Gonna have the portal open up. Ooh, look at that. You can see something through the portal. It's different. Jump. Nice. There's the Neolithic period. Jump. There's our Iron Age period. Oh no, we've run out of memory. Okay, so it doesn't like me. That's too bad. That was setting up so beautifully too. Alright, let's get rid of this. Alright, well, I wonder if the rotation and the jumping... What am I doing? What's leaking memory here? I wish I knew. Oh well, I'm going to have to check the log afterwards, but we should be able to squeak by. We're almost there. We are so close. We're almost there. So let's kill Unity. Where are you, Unity? There you are. Sorry. Let's try it again. So next week, I'm hoping to try the time travel not just with the landscape, but with actual sort of objects in the landscape. Trees, bushes, rocks, buildings. And we'll see if we can jump through the landscape like that. Which would be kind of nice. All right, let's make sure that our cheater our cheaters stayed on there, so that's all good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play, and I am actually going to save this. We're going to zoom out, get it all nicely framed, and then we're going to save it, because that'll save our camera position, and then we don't have to waste time. We don't have to waste time with that. So let's make sure also we're in the correct time. We say we're in negative 11,000. Great. Okay. Here we go again. Here's the old pinwheel of death. There we go. We're back out. Back out as far as we can go. And we're gonna move this landscape a little bit. And we're going to start rotating. I feel like this is not quite where we need to be. Let's Start. Nope, wrong direction. Keep rotating. Yeah, still don't like that. Yeah, let's keep going. Just a little more. Okay, that feels pretty good. So before we kill the whole thing, let's line ourselves up right here on a handsome diagonal. Very nice. Let's save the game. I hope that's what I've just done. Let's end it and see if we can load this camera position and rotation back up again. Press play. There we go. Yeah, perfect. I think it hates doing the rotation and the time travel, all that stuff all at once. I think it really hates doing that. I don't blame it. But hopefully we've got enough going now. We've got just enough memory left. We don't have to worry about that being too bad. I'm going to get rid of the debug that's spamming our debug with hundreds of messages every time we jump. So I just got to figure out where that debug is. I think it's in my process layers here on the soil script. Where is my process layers? There it is. There's the debug. We don't want that guy. That's going to help a lot, just getting rid of that debug. We know the system's working. Okay. Let's let that compile. And then we'll start up again. Okay. All set. Everything's all saved. All right, fingers crossed, take 2. Load the scene. Get the camera going. And action. Let's jump back in the scene here. Okay, let's start rotating. We'll go that way, why not? Nice. There we go. A full orbit and 8,000 years of time travel. We've done it. Hurrah. Good. Now we just need to edit this this video down a little bit. So around 8 or 9 seconds. Okay. Let's see how good that is. So there we are. Okay. Oh, let's we saw our mouse there. Let's see, that's the end of our rotation right there. So let's go through here again. Just watch this thing as it goes. Open the portal. Neolithic. Iron Age. Roman period. Nice. All right, I'm happy enough with that. Okay. want to save this actually. Let's go save this. Into my random images. Landscape time travel 8,000 years. All right. This will get posted up on Twitter on tomorrow. Screenshot Saturday. We've actually got something to share. We did it, guys. We did it. I'm very, very pleased with that. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. Okay. YouTube's going to mash the heck out of this, but that's okay. Yep. All right. There we go. Mission accomplished. Marvelous. Very glad. So we did that. I think that's really good. There's a few more minutes left in the day today. But that's pretty good for 45 minutes of work. Trying to think through that and actually get it working. Oh gosh, we're still playing. Look at that. We didn't even run out of memory this time. Nice. Okay. So I just wanted to jump over. We get out of this, and I just wanted to jump over and show you this mess, which is my medieval landscape. So I've got all the tiles, all this black because I didn't do vertex coloring, but that's okay. I'll fix that up later. This is the kind of medieval fill dirt. So the medieval fill dirt's kind of come down the hill and filled in where the Iron Age village was, and it's kind of filled in here where the Iron Age house and the round barrow and the Roman cemetery complex was, and it's kind of spilled over the hill and jumped over some of the Iron Age little ramparts and things like that. So nice story is being told here. It's completely covered the well, as you can see. And there's the foundations of the medieval church, the eventual. I mean, we don't get this set up until like, the year 1400 or something. But anyway, so that's the underneath, that's the fill dirt. So I need to make a topsoil layer, and I did that. So here's my topsoil layer right here. See, there it is. So that would be the green bits that always shows up. So the next step for this is to try to carve in a path. I want to carve in a path that's going from like the church door, which is somewhere over here, and is kind of making its way down the hillside, maybe like this, and then kind of out towards the village, which is over here. Maybe we want, and I'm trying to just figure out kind of what other paths we want to carve in here around the church for our medieval landscape. We may just want to do just the one path, just the one bit of dirt here. And then once we do that, I need to cut this into tiles, but not actually cut it. I just need to select the tile edges and extrude those down. And then I need to randomize the vert placement, the Y values of all of the verts in the landscape so that we get a kind of bumpy grass tufty look to it, not so smooth. And then we cut them all into individual tiles, and actually cut them into tiles, match them up with the landscape below. So there's a ton of tedious work which can be done off camera, but I just wanted to show you that that's where we're heading on this one. Got to do a little bit of low poly sculpting and then a little bit of work. So I'm gonna actually low poly sculpt that right now. So our medieval topsoil here is going to be about a foot deep. So we're gonna bring this up about a foot. So 30 centimeters. So right now it's hovering at 93 centimeters. So if we made it hover at 63, no, silly, we knocked it into the ground. If we have a hover at 123, there we go. We're now 30 centimeters above the landscape. So we've kind of got like a foot deep of topsoil, and that's great because that should give us enough to start being able to carve down in here. So I've got my foundations showing. You can just see them. There they are. This is the kind of front door of the church. So I really want to, actually I want to have the entire church area not be green. The problem is that this medieval landscape, we're going to have to build this up in several passes, I'm afraid. Yeah, we're going to have to do this in several passes because we need to push the landscape down around the entire outline of the church. So I may just kind of make the whole top of the hill here muddy. I don't know. My big question, what I'm thinking about here is that my big question is, as the church grows, obviously, then you would not have kind of landscape. You wouldn't have grass tiles where the church grows. And the church starts as a little bit here and then keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we actually want to see some of that period. So it's a good question where we want to be here on the landscape. Good question. We may cheat it a little bit. And what I mean by that is, instead of putting us a foot above, maybe we'll just go up 20 centimeters. And why I'm saying that is because then that gives us more of the foundations exposed above the topsoil. And that means that every time I build a new bit of the church, I can put the floor in, and the floor is going to be right at foundation level. And then that'll just cover up the grass. And then I don't have to have a different set of grass landscape for every single period. And that would be really nice to not have to do that. So I may push this down even further. Because I don't want to have my grass clipping through my floors when I do put the floors in. So let's put it at 100. So it's only 7 centimeters of topsoil. It's only a few inches. But maybe that's enough. Okay, well, this doesn't give us a whole lot to work with as far as sculpting this dirt out, but that's okay. We'll be okay with that. Anyway, I'm going to sculpt a path. I'm not sure if I'm going to have it just come straight down the hill, or whether I'm going to have it kind of, because there's going to be a road right along here. This is the Roman road, but it's going to be a kind of a road up to the church gate, the churchyard gate. So naturally, you kind of come up here. Let's run it like that. Let's see if we can run it like this and kind of switch back it. Let's see what that looks like. Not that. All right. So we're doing low poly sculpting. So Cinema 4D does have actual sculpting tools, and they're okay. But they really want you to be sculpting with like hundreds of thousands or millions of polys rather than thousands of polys, or even hundreds. So instead of using all of their sculpting tools, which get in the way, we're instead going to use their brush tool, which is a really nice little tool. And it acts like a sculpting brush, but this brush tool is really, really old. It's before the era of sculpting existed. So let's push down the road first. So the road's going to kind of come up here. It's kind of in the same corridor where the Roman road went. We're going to reduce our radius down to, let's reduce it down to 300. Let's see what we got. Instead of smoothing the landscape, it's going to pull it on the normals, I think. Well, no, it's going to pull it on the surface. Okay, so what we should do is we should push this down. I'm going to look at it from above here. And fingers crossed, we should be able to just paint this in. Oh yeah, it's pulling it. I want to push it. So hold down the control key. Yeah, there we go. There's our road. Yeah, this is what happened last time when I did the Roman road. Okay. So let's just widen this out a little bit. Okay. What's that look like from above? Just pushing it all the way through the landscape, and that's fine because we're going to do a Boolean operation and it's going to cut some seams right along here. How steep is that road? That's good enough. Yep, great. Let's reduce our radius to 100. Oh, we really do have it strong. Its strength is 10%. Really, I like working like at 5%. Gives me a little bit more control and subtlety. So let's run our path. Whoops. Let's run our path from the church door down here. Let's just keep cutting this path one little bit at a time. Should have maybe made it a 10% strength. Let's just preview that path and see what it looks like. Garbage. But anyway, this is where it goes from a road to a footpath. There will actually be a lich gate here. 10%. Radius out to 150 centimeters. Let's really cut this path into this landscape here. Yeah, that's what we want. And let's kind of widen it out in front of the church door. And let's blow a path out of here, but just a really subtle one. In fact, that one was too much. Let's do 5%. Because actually what I just want to show there is just a divot in the surface. This may all be a bit too subtle. Increase that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's pretty good. We've just got a couple of paths there. Very good. This will be good enough for starters. Okay, so I've got the paths cut into the landscape. It's 7:30. I need to Boolean them out now, and that's always a rough process. And again, it's something that probably doesn't need to happen on stream, although it probably will because it's going to take me a little while. But that's good enough for now. That's good enough. Okay, marvelous. Well, that's where we're going to leave it today. We got our screenshot Saturday, so that's excellent. And yeah, and we've made some progress. So much better than Wednesday's stream, I think. So anyway, I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you have a great weekend, whatever you've got planned. And we will see you back here on Monday, at which point we'll be probably trying to get the buildings to play nicely with the time travel system. So more time travel fun on Monday. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.